Hi, my name is Marin and I'm one of the bloggers for Edgital. So today I'm talking about Pinterest. In my first video I discussed the basics, just sort of a few tips about how it works and walking you through it. In this video, the second video, I'm showing you some examples of how museums are working with Pinterest, what they're doing with it. So the first example that we are going to look at is the Chicago History Museum.
And they're using existing interpretation. So this board that you see here, the Great Chicago Fire, is an exhibit that exists in their physical museum. And they're using objects and art and various things that exist in the physical exhibit. So they're using this existing interpretation and they're just reaching their audience a different way or reaching a new audience perhaps by putting this up on Pinterest. So here we have the IMA, and they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it at a larger view, I suppose. They're representing their entire physical museum in addition to their exhibits. So we have their gardens and their grounds and their museum store. So it's a way of feeling almost like you're visiting the museum, which would be very useful if you are interested in a museum but you can't get there, or maybe you want to learn about it before you go. Now what LACMA is doing really takes advantage of what Pinterest is capable of. So LACMA has chosen a theme, faces in this case, that allows them to showcase objects from many different areas of their collection that you would never see side by side in the physical museum because they're in different places, often even in different buildings, for the case of LACMA. So it allows for new interpretation to occur. You can show visitors these connections that they wouldn't be able to make otherwise. So we have, a skull with turquoise from Mexico, from Western Oaxaca, and we have a Buddhist head from Afghanistan, and many different things that you wouldn't actually see together otherwise. So it's pretty neat. Now another thing that you can do with Pinterest is to represent your ephemeral programs that would normally not live on, or often don't live on. So you can represent them through images of the actual program as it occurs, which can allow people to know what happens at the museum, what sorts of programs occur there. You can also show activities and describe in this little extra piece here where you can write more content under the image. You can describe an activity that people can do at home. So you can inspire activities that are related to your museum for people to use at home. So it's another great thing you can do with Pinterest. Now what the Met is doing is really brilliant. They're not just thinking about what Pinterest is capable of, but they're thinking about who it reaches. And it's the reason why they have the most followers of all the museums that I'm showing you today. So there are a lot of people on Pinterest, many of my friends included, who are planning their weddings and using Pinterest as a way to collect inspirations. So the Met has created a wedding page to help people with creating those inspirations, and it is immensely popular. So for example, many of these images are getting repinned by many people. For example, this dress here is 158 repins, which is quite high for a museum object. It's a great way to tap into the already existing users on Pinterest groups, interests that people have, and find your collection connections to those. The Getty is doing something that's really great, which is reflecting their community. They have this board called Instagetty, where they show Instagrams of the Getty Center and Villa, their two locations, that were taken by museum visitors. So you get to see the museum through the eyes of the visitor on an official museum channel, which is pretty neat to include the visitors in that manner. And as you can see, there's some beautiful things on here, what the visitors are capable of.
So those are just a few examples of how you can use Pinterest as a museum. And thank you very much for watching. Please do share any new and interesting ways that you and your museum are using Pinterest in the comments section of the blog, www.edgital.org. Thanks.